trouble. Karjakin is certainly on that list. However, the tournament situation is Karjakin is 1.5 points behind Magnus Carlsen and 1.5 points behind Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Both these guys have been crushing the field, both on 9 out of 10, and their closest pursuers are on 7.5 out of 10. And that's Sergey Karjakin, Tigran Petrosyan, and Lenier Dominguez. Lenier Dominguez, the Cuban former Blitz world champion, moving up to the top slowly but surely. There we see Carlsen and Karjakin have been rivals for a very, very long time. Karjakin used to be the youngest grandmaster in the world at age, I don't even remember, I think he became grandmaster at age 12. They're more or less the same age, so these guys have been competing forever. And here we see the next chapter. Carlsen goes for d4, knight f6, bishop f4. This seems to be his pet system for the Rapid and Blitz championships. Karjakin has employed this himself, even in highly important games against Vishy Anand in the last round of the candidates tournament, where Karjakin needed to beat Vishy in order to catch up with him. I think he's played the setup with white, and he's a very strong theoretician, very solid player, certainly knows what he's doing, blitzes out the moves here. Goes for a very classical setup. We've seen lots of setups with g6, but Karjakin goes for d5, c5, e6, knight c6, knight f6, bishop d6. Very, very solid. And Carlsen's going for bishop to b5, hinting that he doesn't mind giving that bishop up for the knight on c6. If a6, he would certainly take on c6, and then probably try to establish a strong knight on e5. So Karjakin has to think here. One big question is always, do you want to take on g3? You would like to take on g3 and then play queen b6, but you're a little scared to do it as long as white hasn't castled yet, because the rook on h1 could all of a sudden get very active on that h-file, stare at that h7 pawn. So Karjakin decides to sort of call Carlsen's bluff, go a6 and say, if you want to give me your bishop, I'll gladly take it. Carlsen does, and let's see what he comes up with. Bishop takes d6, followed by knight e5 looks logical. Short castles, just keeping his options open looks logical. We shall see. Me, I like bishops, so I don't think this is a big problem for black, but you could certainly think of a scenario where black is left with his c8 bishop against a strong white knight on e5, which would be trouble. Carlsen goes for knight e5 immediately, targeting the c6 pawn. I guess Karjakin doesn't want to take that knight. He's probably going to play either bishop b7 or queen c7, just defending on c6. Queen b6 you don't want to do because that runs into knight c4. Nice little knight fork there. But queen c7 I can't see anything wrong with, and there he goes. Now ball is back in Carlsen's court. He goes knight d3, very positional. He wants to exchange the bishops and then establish his knight on the c5 square. How can Karjakin fight that? Well, he goes c4. I guess Carlsen's going to jump into c5, either directly or after taking on d6 first. If knight c5 directly, maybe e5 is a concern for Carlsen, so I would guess he was going to take on d6 and then jump. But his hand indicates otherwise. Nah, he changed his mind. He heard me just in time, and now goes knight c5, e5, and yeah, probably short castles. No, he doesn't bother wasting time with castles. He goes to work on the queen side directly, plays b3, cb3, ab3. And yeah, there is quite some scenarios where black is going to be stuck with his bad bishop. It's not too bad, but it's not a great bishop against an active white knight on c5. Now white wants to go b4, reinforces knight on c5 if he needs to, with the other knight coming to b3. So I like Carlsen's position here, but Karjakin is going to try to keep pieces on the board and generate a bit of a kingside attack after castles. Maybe he's going to look into ideas like knight to g4 or e takes d followed by knight g4, or even e4 followed by something to g4. As long as it involves the g4 square, I'll be happy. E takes d looks like the most obvious move to me. Positionally, it's a concession, but you have to play dynamically here since you're worse long term, and I would expect e takes d and knight to g4. The alternative, yeah, he goes knight g4 immediately, which is also very possible. Aiming for some trickery after h3, he wants to play e takes d4 then. And that would lead to an interesting position. h3, ed4, hg4, queen c5, c takes d4, when both sides would have a bunch of weaknesses. Let's see if Carlsen can come up with anything better. He could play g3, That's a very ugly move to make, weakening the light squares. After g3, there's queen h6. So I don't think he's going to do that. And else you have to address the threat of e takes d4, followed by queen takes h2 checkmate. Knight f3 doesn't help because of e4. So I can't spot anything better than h3. Let's see if Carlsen can. No, I think he's trying to evaluate this position after h3, ed4, hg4. And then there's also options like d takes e3 or d takes c3, which complicate the situation way too much for me. Knight de4. Not sure if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it could get messy. Let's make sure to get that statement in. What else can you do? Maybe Carlsen missed this direct knight to g4, because after ed, cd, knight g4, he can play knight f3. It's a different story. But here knight f3, e4 is trouble. So it looks like he could be in a bit of trouble, and maybe this b3 instead of castling was a little bit too ambitious. He's gone for long-term positional pluses, but neglected his king. And is planning to play e4? Looked like his hand was going... No, he can't play e4, then e takes d4. Plays g3, yeah, but that's born out of necessity. This is very, very ugly for white. And he's in trouble. g5 is the first move you think of. Then g5, I guess white can still hang in there with knight to f3. G takes h4, knight takes h4. And nothing decisive is apparent. So far from over, but if you have to play g3 and h4 here with white, something has gone very wrong. Let's see if Karjakin can exploit that. Rook a7, very deep. Too deep for me, I have no idea what he's up to. He doubles rook. He wants to go e takes d, and then if c takes d, rook takes e3. But he could have done that immediately. He didn't need both rooks for that. But now e d4. If c d4, I think there is this trick with rook e3. So white would have to go e d4. And then rook to e2 looks very unpleasant. Unless... Unless I'm missing some trick. I don't understand it. Why didn't he go e d4? I must have missed something, but that looked very tempting. Still, this position also looks extremely tempting for black. He's winning a pawn, king g1. He's going to go h3. Carlsen's taking the pawn on a6, but that's less of a factor than the situation on the king side, I would believe. Still, at least Carlsen got his long-term plan of good knight, bad bishop in, but this bishop is not going to look so bad once it lands on f3, so these stereotypes might not be helping here. Yeah, Karjakin is putting pressure, queen a2 probably to defend f2 and keep an eye on the a8 square. He goes queen b2, but that allows rook to a8, occupying that open file. Rook queen f3 threatens queen g2 mate, so rook g1 is forced. Now he goes rook a8, c4. Both opponents running very low on time. One resource would be h5, h4 to open the position even further. But Carlsen says, I have everything under control. I'm going to push my b-pawn. And maybe magically he once again managed to contain the situation, not allow too much damage to be done. Karjakin has to go passive with rook b8, but the problem is he's threatening rook takes b4 if I'm not mistaken. Knight c7, can you go rook b4 now? Yeah, queen b4, there was queen takes f2 winning, so Carlsen had to give that pawn up. He's trying to get the d5 pawn in return. Rook a4, the same trick. Karjakin could repeat moves, but he clearly wants more. Goes rook a5, knight e8 check, king g6, knight c7. Oof. It's a mess, but the problem for white is he can never really activate his queen because he's stuck defending f2. He also can't move his rook because he's stuck defending g2. So Karjakin holds most of the trumps here. Queen f6 does allow white to activate the rook, so he returns, forces the rook to go back. Queen f5, not sure what that's about. He's trying to trap that knight, sort of, now that the knight can't take on d5. And yeah, Carlsen is in trouble. Goes knight e8 on his last seconds. Trying to keep this knight alive. Rook a6, once again trying to restrict it. Now, knight c7 looks obvious, but then rook f6 is a problem. So Karjakin is trying to force the knight away from e8 and then to play rook to f6. And yeah, the first defeat of the world champion, and both the rapid and the Blitz event, which means Karjakin is making the race exciting. Still a strong first day for Magnus Carlsen, finished on 9 out of 11.